Success.
All right, good. Good, I'm glad.
All right, would you like to go through the questions and any particular, you can choose whatever order you'd like.
I'll pull them up on my phone. Yeah, I'll pull them up on my phone here, and then
Okay.
obviously as I'm speaking, if anything else comes up that you may not have thought of originally, feel free to stop me and ask anything else that you might be interested in.
Oh, super, thank you.
Let me just go into this email now. Okay. So the first one is talking about congratulations on the success, first 2-year pro. What factors have led to increasing goal score? Okay. Well, first of all, it's I don't think there's any argument that the KHL is the second best league in the world, much more competitive. The Finnish league and the Swedish league are very, of course, North American people who follow hockey in North America don't know so much about these leagues, but Finland and Sweden both have tremendously competitive professional hockey leagues.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you see typically players that come over to those leagues and sign contracts are guys that have been playing the American League for a while and doing really well, but haven't gotten called up to the NHL, and they realize, okay, I can make double the money in Finland or Sweden that I was getting paid in the AHL. So that's why typically guys would come to Finland or Sweden.
Okay.
Having said that, the KHL is a totally different beast because they're able to pay salaries that are in the ballpark of NHL salaries. Okay, everybody's not making. By no means can you compare the salaries of the NHL to the KHL because there's a large difference in the top team's budget in the KHL to the bottom team's budget. So in the NHL, there's a salary cap. Everybody's has 65, 70 million to spend on players per year.
Right.
The KHL, there's probably five to eight teams that are in that same $60 million budget per season, where Kovalchuk plays, or everybody on that team is making over $1 million, same as the NHL.
I see.
Then the middle of the pack teams, the top players are making over $1 million, up to $2 million, and the bottom fourth line players are making $300,000 to $400,000.
Wow.
So that's substantially more than the AHL or the Finnish or Swedish league.
Mm-hmm.
Then the KHL has a number of expansion teams that are outside of Russia. So you have Jokerit in Finland, Bratislava in Slovakia, Minsk in Belarus, a team in Croatia, Medvedchuk, Zagreb, one other country. So anyway, those non-Russian teams traditionally spend substantially less than the Russian teams spend on players.
Okay.
So like our budget, for example, for Jokerit, is probably like 12 to 15 million for the players, as opposed to 50, 60 for the top Russian teams.
Okay.
Now, I apologize for getting off topic, but
No, that's that helps me, get a sense of where Jokerit fits into the.
In any business where the money is, the players go. So there are plenty of players that are in Russia that could go to the NHL and be, league minimum guys, 600, 700, 800,000 a year, but they're making $4 million a year in Russia instead. So the level of play is really high in this league. Of course, the parity is not the same as the NHL because of the money difference in the teams.
I see.
So the best teams typically get the best players.
Okay.
Having said that, Jokerit came into the league this year with
Right.
a substantially smaller budget than other teams. And I think they did an incredible job building this team that we have. And this is to the point of how I've been able to jump in scoring so much. We have maybe 12 players on our team that are regulars on the Finnish World Championship team and the Olympics and World Championships. They're Finnish national team players.
Okay.
So those guys choose to play in Jokerit for many different variables, but essentially a lot of them have made money in the NHL or or they've made money in the KHL on other teams, and they feel like they can come back and take a little bit of a pay cut to live in Helsinki, beautiful city, and feel comfortable living here as opposed to making more money in some Russian market where they may be less comfortable living.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been able, Yari Curry's the GM, who's a legendary player in the NHL, played with many years with Wayne Gretzky.
Mm-hmm.
He did an awesome job building the team, and yeah, I play with some really, really good players. Linus Ullmark has been my line mate all season. He played in the NHL for a couple seasons with Edmonton, and then most recently with Buffalo. But he's a little bit of a smaller guy, and one of the most skilled players I've ever seen with the puck. Really great passer, and so, like I've said all season, I have to give a lot of credit to my line mate, him, and I play with another Czech, a guy from Czechoslovakia, or it's just Czech now, Czech Republic.
Right.
But he's another national. He plays for their national teams in the World Championships, etc. So those two guys that I play with are awesome players. And then on a personal level, I've just matured. I think at UNH I was physically mature, I think, but mentally there were games, especially even my senior year, that I felt like I could dominate, do whatever I wanted, and then there would be many games where I couldn't get to that same level. Not based on a physical, I couldn't do it physically, but it was just I don't know if it's pressure or pressure I put on myself, but couldn't rise to the occasion every game. It was up and down kind of. I couldn't play at my max all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not an easy thing to do, and I think playing over here the last 2 years in Finland have really helped me, become a pro in the sense that it's not about being good 1 out of every 3 games. It's about being good 3 out of 3 games. And even on the bad nights, still playing at 75% of your max instead of playing at 30% of your max when you're struggling. So I think it's been a big, mostly mental improvement for me, and really focusing on being mentally prepared for every game, and realizing that I have a big opportunity here, and every game and every shift that you need to try to. Or I've learned that it's really important to play as close to your max as possible. So I think that's been the biggest difference in my game over the past 3 seasons here in Finland. It really has helped me out a lot.
So before this year, Jokerit didn't have as many, for example, from the Finnish national team playing with them.
No. So
okay.
No. So we had a really skilled team last year. The organization was a bit of a mess last season because prior to the season they announced that the team's going to be leaving the Finnish league and going to the KHL. So without getting too deep into it, it's very difficult for players that have multi-year contracts. Nobody knew what was going to happen with their deals because they're going to a different league. The salaries would be different. The budget was going to be different. So everybody was, basically concerned about their own job last season. Like, what's going to happen with my spot when this team goes to this higher level league? What's going to happen? Are they going to bring in a whole bunch of new players? So that made it a very difficult year in the locker room last season. They ended up only bringing back 6 players from last season's team. They basically brought in 18 new guys for this year. So it's a totally new team.
Now,
they had to do that.
Did the owner let you know pretty early in the process that you were going to be one of the guys that they were going to bring with to the KHL, or?
I actually had to renegotiate my contract. I had a 2-year deal at the time, so I had last year and this year signed for. But of course, with the KHL, the travel's much more significant.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. So players don't want to play for the same that they agreed to play for the Finnish league. You have to get, more money or whatever. So I was able to renegotiate my deal and then sign a 1-year contract, which was for this year at about Christmas time last year. So
Gotcha.
So yeah, I'd say I think it was right before Christmas that I signed a contract to play in the KHL with Jokerit. So
Mm-hmm.
But they I guess they liked what they had saw, and they felt confident enough to re-sign me
Interesting.
to this 1 year deal that I'm on now. So yeah, that was great for me. But again, it was a difficult season in the locker room with all the wondering, am I going to have a home here next year, or am I going to have to find someplace new? And that was for every player in the locker room. So
Exactly.
that made for a tough year last year, and it's been really night and day this season. So
Interesting.
it's been good for everybody involved. Yeah.
This is a little off topic, but I guess it's related. Do you find, talking to guys like Phil DeSimone, have they experienced a similar thing as you have? That is the changing from college to the professional, that you are, it's easier for you to night in and night out bring the same level of consistency than in college? Or do you think that's something more unique to you?
Yeah, I think I've talked to a lot of guys about it, and I think every player is different. I personally really didn't like the schedule of college hockey, where you practice basically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, play
Right.
Friday, Saturday, then have Sunday off.
Mm-hmm.
For me, there was so much build up to the games that I think you start to overthink things, and in pro, like in the KHL, we basically have a game day, then an off day, then a game day, then an off day, then a practice, so we practice so much less. There's so much more games.
Mm-hmm.
You almost feel more relaxed in the games because you're so much more used to playing the games, as opposed to college, where you're practicing so much and working on everything, with so much focus and precision on every little thing you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes time to the games, for me personally, I felt that it was mentally a little bit tough. But
Mm-hmm.
everybody, of course, every player is different, and some guys really thrive in that college, setting. So I think it's different, for everybody.
Okay.
And I don't want to speak for Phil, even though he's still a real close buddy of mine, and I know he's having some success. I think he's in Austria right now playing, and
Okay.
it's definitely tough to say.
Gotcha. All right, want to move on to number 2? Let me double check to make sure that I'm still getting this recorded, okay?
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
You might have to restart. I don't know if there's time.
Good point.